moving into the 2002 bargaining was our second sit-down with the new PMA rep that represented them at the top. Was Joe Miniacci. And they brought Miniacci in to dismantle the way we did business on the waterfront. He was known as a union-busting type guy that holds the line for their side, and they particularly brought him in to do just that. It was a different type of bargaining than all the other bargainings that I have been in. And I was on 5 or 6 different contract negotiating bargaining units throughout my career. And in 2002, I knew it was going to be tough, but I didn't realize that when they brought him in that he worked outside of the norm to do his bidding. We always know through our demand packages what we think we want for our wages and work conditions and whatnot, but you have to get there. And you have to sit across from an employer that usually somehow, through all of the differences between both parties, you find some type of middle ground where you got most of what you want, hopefully, and you gave some of it got away, and they feel the same way. That's the way bargaining usually works out. In this case, hiring Miniacci, the game plan was there was no middle game. So he spent many, many days and months throughout the 3 years of time frames back in Washington, D.C., setting up with the Bush administration, working with various politicians, setting up their game plan on moving the negotiating table outside of the norm and putting pressure from the outside in so that they would be able to achieve their goals. There was tremendous pressure from the Bush administration in that bargaining. Calls from Tom Ridge and others declaring and telling me that if I didn't move in the direction basically that the employers wanted to move into, that there was a possibility of the Iraq War starting, and I would be considered an economic terrorist if we found ourselves in a situation where we were on strike or anything was going on here, that the government was ready to move on us. So the pressure on me and our negotiating team at that time was really tough. And we were trying to figure out, okay, what's the best moves to make? Where do we go? How do we open these doors that are not available? And I kept telling our guys, the game plan is one for sure. Whoever makes the big mistake is going to be the loser in this particular bargaining. It's not going to be us. I'm not going to go down any road that's going to lead us there. I had a terrific negotiating team to back me up. They understood where I was coming from. Miniacci made some big mistakes, and it helped turn the tide with Washington, D.C., and it opened the doors where he turned around with the lockout in 2002 when he was saying we're going to lock you out, like that was a big threat to us, like we were going to go running scared. And I reassured him over and over again, look, you can talk lockout all you want. We came from the streets. That's where we came from. We're not afraid to fight our fight, if that's where you want to put it, But the economy and everybody else is saying, let's get a contract. But if you want to go there and you're looking for a brawl with the ILWU, you'll find us ready to go. So let's get something straight. Let's get a contract. Well, he wasn't there to get a contract. So he did do the lockout. And after doing the lockout, we went into a mediation type bargaining. And through that mediation type bargaining, even the mediator came to me and says, look, you got to carry this bargaining because he says, this guy can't do it. He can't put a contract together on their side of the table. The employers asked the mediator to come and talk to me. And so I told the mediator, I says, the reason, and they see it, that we can't get a contract or find middle ground to a contract was because Miniachi wasn't set here to do a normal contract. He was here to break the union. He openly said that across the table. I'm here to break you guys. I'm here to change the way we're doing business down here. We're taking the waterfront away from you. So we knew where he was coming from. And the problem was when he couldn't deliver, and I told him being the mediator, seen it, and everybody's seen it, that you couldn't have dialogue across the table with somebody that doesn't understand the industry. You can't talk technology. You can't talk skills that are necessary, why you want more money for skill rates, gang sizes, whatever our normal jargon is in getting into bargaining, longshore positions, he couldn't address. He would sit there. He was dumbfounded after his opening statement, and it was a written statement that would come across the table, put together by the attorney that they hired, union-breaking attorney from Boston that was there by his side. Never in bargaining did bargaining work like that. We always sat across. They had their representative. The union has their representative. We both have our teams there. And only the two people that talk in bargaining are the representative from the employers and the international president, which was myself, in bargaining. You have your meetings later to discuss strategies where you want to go from those discussions. So you have to be able to articulate your side, your views, put your point across. He couldn't do it. Right. They seen it. And I knew he was through in that bargaining when I walked in and there was a different guy sitting in his seat. When we achieved, and it was very difficult because of that battle, went on for months and months. But when I had to come back to our committee and say, okay, guys, it's time to end this bargaining. In my opinion, we achieved what we set out to do. We got it. Went over all the different things. We got our medical, we got our pension, we got this, we got that, we got our security. We got the things we went after. But in achieving that, because of Miniachi, because of the position that the employers put out there to break this union and to fight the fight, that every guy that was on that negotiating team was ready to fight the fight to the end. I knew it, they knew it. And when I brought that back and I went around the table and I laid it all out why I felt we were ready and we achieved our goals and we were going to go back to the membership with this contract that's a damn good contract. Let's bring it back. We gave nothing up. We moved ahead. Miniachi lost. I went around the table. I sort of get choked up a little bit on this. Every guy at that table cried. Every guy cried. Not because it was over. They didn't want to quit. They were going to fight that fight. They didn't want to quit. They knew and they understood. We got our contract. But this is the ILWU, you don't push us around. Not that way. And we had Richard Trumka, the president of the AFL-CIO, who called me about in the middle of bargaining, and he asked if he could come and sit in. So I invited Richard in. And I told Richard, look, Richard, you're invited in as my guest, a guest of the IL, but this is the negotiating team. You don't participate in any way. You're an invited guest. We're loving having you here to show backing of our workforce, but we're the team. And he understood that coming in, and he stood with us for about 5 weeks in bargaining. And when we went around that table, and every guy expressed himself, when it got to Richard, he cried. He cried harder than the other guys. He said he never seen a union stick together and fight the fight like we did.